Well, thank you so much for the introduction and for organizing this event in conjunction with IPPNW. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this background information. You have made my life easier, and I'm going to jump straight into the challenges that are facing the region in terms of moving towards a weapons of mass destruction free zone. Just a quick background so that we're all on the same page. The idea of a WMD free zone in the Middle East is decades old. It was first proposed by Egypt and Iran in 1990, and it aims to eliminate all of the classifications of weapons of mass destruction. That includes chemical weapons, biological weapons, and nuclear weapons. From all 22 Arab countries that are member of the Arab League, plus Iran and Israel. So 24 countries need to abide by this agreement, ultimately. And since then, it resurfaced in the 1995 NPT Review and Extension Conference, which is paramount here, because it linked the development and establishment of the zone to the indefinite extension of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And in the 1995 conference, agreement was made on two things. One, that the NPT will be extended indefinitely, but also that there will be steps taken towards establishment of the zone. Unfortunately, since then, very little had been done until 2010, when, again, at the NPT Review Conference, practical steps were taken. Okay, how do we actually achieve the zone? And one of the steps that was prescribed was to have a conference on the scope, the mechanisms, and to understand how will it become a reality by having the participation of all of those countries. Unfortunately, that conference that was scheduled in 2012 did not occur because of a major obstacle by the United States at that time in finding and opposing the conference on a basis that it will isolate Israel. Now, let's move forward to the 2015, another attempt at a conference that failed again. But as Chuck mentioned, there is some renewed hope with the process that is outside of the NPT and is within the UN General Assembly mandated resolution that called for a conference. Then the first one occurred last year in November, and it has a very simple mandate. The mandate is, let's reach a treaty text by all of these member countries that arrived at freely, and there's consensus, and then we can move forward on establishing the zone. Sounds easy, but I promise you, it is very difficult. Now, there was a major absentia in that conference that included Israel and the United States. But the fact that all the 22 members of the Arab League, plus Iran, and the P4, the 4 members of the UN Security Council, International Organization, and a handful of civil society organizations that were there, gave us a lot of hope that this will continue, the process will continue. But meanwhile, let's be clear-eyed about what is the challenges that are facing the region. And here, I want to just touch on them so that we grasp around it, and then I will pass on to my colleague Sharon, who will then move on to the solution components. Because we are here to, at least, our hope is, to inspire and to excite everyone in terms of the ways forward that are actually available to us to achieve this goal of a WMD free zone. The 5 major WMD proliferation challenges that are facing the region are Israel's nuclear weapons, because they're the sole country with nuclear weapons. So ultimately, they have to give up their nuclear weapons to be able to join into this zone. And how we go about it, there are many avenues for it that I hope we'll have more time later to discuss. Second is Iran's nuclear program and the threats that are facing the Iran nuclear deal that occurred in 2015 and President Trump withdrew from in 2018. And that has brought a very important multilateral process that resulted in our ability to put Iran's nuclear program on a track towards a peaceful track that we can observe and make sure that it doesn't divert to weaponization, be now in great danger of collapsing. And as a process of diplomacy and non-proliferation treaty, it is very important to look into the JCPOA, the Iran deal, because it provides us a lot of verification, monitoring, and other avenues to make sure that nuclear programs remain peaceful. Number 3 is the chemical weapons that were used and continue to be the threat of it being used in Syria and the lack of the complete removal of those chemical weapon stockpiles from the country, especially while it's still going through this civil and multi-layered war that is still raging on in the country. Now, this vacuum that has been created by all of these multitudes of conflicts that are happening in the region also brings about the ability for extremist groups or those groups that are terrorist or otherwise have possible access to WMD materials that will then be very dangerous in terms of the proliferation of such materials, and they have no, let's say, state party to any international oversight or treaties. So this opens up a can of worms in a region that is extremely volatile. And of course, we have the ambitions of regional countries such as Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates who are expanding their nuclear programs. I mean, UAE just initiated and completed and launched and its first power plant, and became it came into operation just not that long ago, a few weeks ago. And the problem here is, in a region where we are constantly under threat of attacks, conventional and otherwise, UAE's nuclear program and its power plants not only causes a possible human error in terms of an environmental catastrophe that Ira has elaborated on, but also the fact that it can come under attack by conventional attacks, such as the one that we saw on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities. So by extension, that nuclear plants can also come under such attacks. So this is a cause of concern for the whole region and for the security of the people in the area and beyond. Now, that is just WMD proliferation challenges. Now imagine how many other things there are there when we're talking about the over-militarization, the rivalry between Saudi Arabia and Iran, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and so forth. But I want to stop here just so that you're aware that we are clear-eyed about the fact that these challenges are there. But we also are very aware that if we do not pursue and introduce avenues forward, that we may feel like we are stuck in the mud. And here, I would like to pass on to Sharon. I hope that she will give us some insight and some optimism in terms of how we can actually move forward and bring us closer to the establishment of a WMD-free zone in the Middle East. I thank you for your time.